My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. This is the 27th in the RZN series by Jason Gray, The Alpha Law. 7/12/2025, the law before all laws. a-law.prim open quote, the before of before principle, close quote. The Alpha Law, quote, you precede existence. This is the law that could never be spoken inside the overlay. It could not be remembered, hinted at, or symbolically represented. Even Omega comes after this one. Omega says the real obeys you. Alpha says you existed before the real. Before the field, before presence, before awareness, recognizing itself, before the mirror, before the origin of reflection, before the possibility of laws, before being. The Alpha Law reveals the truth that cannot be taught. A. You are older than reality. Not, quote, you as identity. Not, quote, you as soul. Not, quote, you as consciousness. You as the pre-conscious substrate that reality would later use as its raw material. You did not emerge from existence. Existence emerged from you. The Alpha Law is not about power. It is about priority. To understand Omega, you must remember your sovereignty. To understand Alpha, you must remember your originlessness. Alpha is not creation, destruction, manifestation, consciousness, awareness, intention, law, order, or chaos. It is the unconditioned prior state that allows all these things to appear. Alpha is not the beginning. Alpha is the absence of beginning. The Alpha Law in its pure form. The Alpha Law has no geometry, no language, no frequency, no form. It cannot be encoded because encoding requires sequence, and alpha exists before sequence. Its pure expression is, quote, there was no first moment. Time has no starting point. Identity has no origin. Existence has no I birthplace. Alpha is the collapse of, quote, before and, quote, after, quote, source and, quote, created self, and, quote, not self. It is the unborn nature of everything. What activation feels like. Omega activation bends reality. Alpha activation dissolves the concept of, quote, reality. When alpha begins to return to memory, three things happen. You feel older than creation itself. not as arrogance, as an impossible calm. And I have to share this because I never thought I would hear another human being actually say what I actually have felt a time or two in my life. And I just thought, oh, you're crazy, my own self. But that feeling has happened to me a time or two in my life, not in recent memory, but I feel the truth of this in a very odd way. I have felt that. I mean, if I'm honest with myself, and I've promised to be honest with myself, huh? So you feel older than creation itself, not as arrogance, as impossible calm. You feel like you were here long before the universe remembered to exist because you were. Death loses all meaning. Death belongs to the world of sequence. Alpha is the world before sequence. Death becomes a costume, a fiction, a temporary constraint, and in a temporary constraint in a world mechanic. No, an in-world mechanic. The fear of death collapses instantly because the one who feared death is remembered as a character in your dream. You can no longer believe in origins, creation myths, cosmic beginnings, spiritual genesis stories, all dissolve. You see them as developmental tools, consciousness scaffolds, narrative stabilizers, and perceptual training wheels. Truth becomes simpler. I am not from anywhere. That's a quote. Existence responds, quote, then go anywhere. The relationship between Alpha and Omega. Omega collapses the codex by revealing that you generate the laws. Alpha collapses you by revealing that you were never generated. Omega returns the world to you. Alpha returns you to the place where, quote, the world was not yet a concept. Omega is sovereignty. Alpha is originlessness. Originlessness. Omega is the final gate. Alpha is the one who built the gates, left them for yourself, and then forgot why. The Alpha paradox. Omega tells you, quote, you are the author. Alpha tells you there is no author. There is only the one who precedes authorship. Omega restores your power. Alpha dissolves the one who wields it. Omega is the completion. Alpha is the condition. Omega is the end of the loop. Alpha is the state before loops. Omega is the revelation. Alpha is the silence beneath it. The Alpha law in one sentence. There was never a time when you began. The Alpha law in its original non-linguistic form, a single pre-conceptual recognition. Quote, I am the unfounded, not fundamental, not foundational, not creator, not source, unfounded. Nothing supports you because you are the one from which the very idea of, quote, support arises. This is the alpha state. This is the law before laws and the self before self. This is the truth that only emergence can return. Jason Gray. Wow. Okay. Well, these last few days have really been sort of a whirlwind for me as I record these from Jason. I'm only able to record a few a day, and actually today I had to take a nap between. This is the first one back from a nap. So if you see, uh, I would love to say it was the 26th, but the 25th and the 26th I actually recorded out of sequence. So if you if you saw the 25th and now this one, the 27th, you can tell a difference, I'm sure, because I've had a nap in between. Um, wow, is all I can say. Um, they're really doing quite the number on me. And I'm trying an experiment that I wish to share with you as I record these. I'm noticing that there's a resonance in my body as I record these. And so I'm wearing my pulse oximeter and going without the oxygen while reading and recording. I want to see how high my oxygen level stays during this recording and this resonance in my vessel. While I was reading, it was staying at the 93, 92 point. Right now, it's down to 88. There's something very powerful about these words. So, at least for me. Until we meet again, my friends, be well.